This is how to market your book no matter whether you have $1, $1,000, or even $1 million. Through my course, Your First Bestseller, I've helped authors go from 0 sales to more than 100,000 books sold. And our in-house publicist has gotten publicity for our authors in places like Today.com and Fortune magazine. So these strategies really work. Let's start off by looking at what you can do with $1 book marketing. For someone who has basically no money, I would recommend following these 3 steps. 1, copycat marketing helps get you reviews. So choose a book that's very similar to yours in terms of topic, genre, and publication type. Next, search for this book name and review. Next, make a list of all the results and then send digital review copies to all the places that reviewed that other book. Congrats, you've just replicated an entire marketing campaign. The second thing you should do is drive sales by offering a bonus to anyone who buys the book in the first week. And it's very important to have that time limit of 1 week. It puts pressure on the reader. A bonus could be something like exclusive access to deleted chapters or alternative endings. Or it could be a digital book plate that readers can print out and put in their books signed by you. Or even say a music playlist that you personally curated of songs that you listened to while writing this book. Now, we still haven't spent that $1. You should go to a thrift store and spend your $1 buying a fantastic looking hat so that you can look absolutely brilliant when you post on TikTok and Instagram promoting your book. Okay, now it is time to move on to $1,000 book marketing. If you have this kind of budget, I would recommend spending your money on these 4 things. The first thing I do is spend $250 sending out ARCs, meaning advanced review copies, because that'll help you get reviews, and early reviews help sell books. It costs $119 to do a Goodreads giveaway, and I've had a lot of success getting a lot of advanced reviews from Goodreads. Book Siren is a wonderful site for getting advanced reviews. It's just $10 to join and then $2 for every single book you send out. And then Booksprout is a $9 subscription fee. So let's say you do 3 months, it's $27. That allows you to get 25 reviewers, which means from that you'll probably get 7 to 12 actual reviews. You can actually post an ARC on Library Thing for free, so why not go ahead and throw that in the mix? Lastly, for the really important ARCs you want to send out, I would recommend print copies because people are more likely to review print copies. So if you add in postage and printing, that adds up to about $64. The next thing you should do is a book promo email, which is basically when you contract with a company to send out an email recommending your book to a huge group of readers. Just remember that you have to lower your book price in order to do this, and I would recommend 99 cents as a target price. I'd recommend using something like Bargain Booksy, which has a deal of the day that you can buy for about $240, and also the Fussy Librarian, which costs $60 to send out to. The third thing you should do is spend $200 on swag giveaways to early purchasers. This could be something like a map of your book setting, or it could be digital art of your characters. I actually commissioned some artwork, not of my characters, but of famous characters, and I thought it turned out really well. For anyone who pre-ordered my book, The Linchpin Writer, I gave them a free course on point of view called POV Hero. It was just a small course. It was, I think, 5 videos, but it was a nice little reward. And that little incentive helped drive the pre-sale copies to 4 figures. Lastly, spend $250 on a conference table at your local book fair. It's a great way to meet readers and hand sell your book. But $1,000 is still a limited marketing budget. We're gonna go all the way up to $1 million, but for now, let's just look at what a $10,000 marketing budget looks like. Now, this is some more money to work with. We can do a lot with $10,000. First thing I do is spend $1,100 getting professional reviews. These are great for convincing people to buy. Stuff like Publishers Weekly, Book Life, Forward's Clarion, and Kirkus Indies. Getting a blurb from these places makes your book look a lot more professional, and it also is great at convincing readers to buy your book. It'd also be a good idea to spend $800 on a virtual book tour. This is where you pay a company to set up a tour with, say, anywhere between 30 and 50 websites. I mean, can you set up something like this for free? Well, I mean, if you spend a couple weeks working at it, yes, but this company makes it a lot easier. With this budget, you'd also want to allocate about $1,200 to book award submissions. The most competitive prizes only cost about $30 because you got to print out 2 copies and then mail it to them. The less competitive ones tend to charge a fee anywhere between $50 and $300. These are things like the Forward Indie Book Award, the Next Generation Indie Book Awards, and the Writer's Digest Self-Published Book Awards. And if you want more examples of this, I'll actually put a list in the description that you can check out. Next, spend $1,100 on your author website. You want to use something like Wix or Squarespace. You want to hire either a graphic designer or a developer to like smooth out the rough spots and make sure it looks really good. And lastly, you want to make make sure you buy your own URL. I'd also recommend spending $2,500 on Amazon ads. But only do this after you have 10 or 20 reviews on your book. If you do it any earlier, you're throwing money away because you can't convince people to buy without any reviews. And don't forget to spend $2,500 redoing your book cover. I love you. I really do, but I love you in like a tough love kind of way. The main obstacle to good publicity is a bad book cover. And just because you like it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good at selling the book. I'm sorry for saying this. This is just tough love, but yes, spend $2,500 and redo your book. Listen, you just got to spend the money. You can't sell something that doesn't look really good. And lastly, spend $800 on a BookBub campaign. BookBub is the gold standard for book promo email services. And my friends who have done BookBub say they usually earn their investment back in just a couple of days. Look, I know I'm rushing through all this, but if you want a lot more ideas, check out my course, Your First Bestseller, where I talk a lot about a lot of free and cheap ideas for publicity and marketing that you can do. Now we are on to $100,000 book marketing. Ooh, now this is gonna be fun. At this level, first thing you wanna do, spend $30,000 and hire a book publicist. You might think spending 30 grand on a publicist is crazy, but I had a friend who got a $250,000 advance for a short story collection. And you better bet he spent $30 on a publicist because he knew if this book doesn't sell, his next advance is gonna be like $500. Or if you're a self-published author trying to work on your brand so you can get speaking engagements or sell some sort of other product or service, then investing $30,000 in a publicist is gonna end up netting you $500,000 down the road. And don't forget that at BookFox, we do have an incredible book publicist who ends up getting heavyweight media coverage for our authors. I will put a link to the publicity page in the description so you can check her out. Next thing you should do is spend $20,000 to host a launch party and then to have a multi-city tour. And this just covers stuff like hotels, flights, rental cars, food. Oh look, here's me at my book launch. And I even had a nice spread of food. I did not, however, spend $20,000. You should spend $10,000 on paid influencer marketing on places like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, YouTube. This helps you tap into huge pre-existing audiences that are likely to buy your book. Next, you should spend $10,000 on a book trailer. And the author who does this the absolute best is Gary Steingart. He has a super funny one about how they came to the decision to call his memoir Little Failure, and it has cameos with very famous people like Rashida Jones. He also has a really funny one that he has this secret that he actually is illiterate and can't read and gets people like James Franco to appear. Now to round out this $100,000, we're gonna throw in a bunch of other stuff, of which I'll only mention two things. One, spend $1,000 on author photos so you can look suave and sexy on that jacket cover. I said suave and sexy. No, that's even worse. And also do all the stuff that was in the 10K marketing package. And finally, what you've all been waiting for, drum roll please. This is what it looks like to market your book with a budget of $1 million. Many of you are probably curious about how you could even spend $1 million on book marketing, but trust me, people do it. These are 3 high-end strategies that only the wealthiest and most famous of authors can afford. The first thing is book laundering. This is a sneaky way to get your book labeled as a bestseller. Is it unethical? Yes, it is. I don't recommend that you do this. But if you have unlimited money and flexible morals, then you could contact a company like located in San Diego. This is a company that will charge you 2 fees, 1 for their services, and then 2 to buy all of your own books. In the secret contracts that I've seen, companies like this will buy, say, 11,000 copies of your book, which is just enough to get it onto the major bestseller lists. But here's the trick though, bulk purchases don't count. Bestseller lists will smell the fraud and disqualify you. Instead, companies like arranged for 11,000 different people with 11,000 different addresses and 11,000 different forms of payment all over the United States to spread out and buy these books individually. This is a lot of work, so the price is very lofty, $300,000. But congrats, I guess. Your book is now a New York Times bestseller and a USA Today bestseller. The next thing that you should definitely spend money on if you have this type of budget is 2 premier publicists. And this will run you somewhere in the ballpark of $200,000. Publicists that charge this much are very selective. You have to apply to them and they turn most authors down. But they have excellent relationships with major media outlets. They can get you stuff like television appearances. My friend Eden Lepucki got on late night show with Stephen Colbert, and her book California just sold through the roof. It launched her career like you would not believe. These publicists also get your book considered for major book clubs like Reese Witherspoon's book club, Oprah's book club, or Read with Jenna. Publicists like this can also land you great spots on radio, stuff like NPR or on Bookworm. Or lastly, they try to get you reviews in major newspapers, like the New York Times Book Review. So we've already spent half of our $1 million book marketing budget, and there's only one thing left, and that is major advertising. You can get a digital billboard of your book in Times Square for about $25,000. You can buy a spot at the front tables at Barnes & Noble. About a 4-week placement costs $20,000. Oh, and all those front tables? Yes, publishers pay for those. Those aren't the best books. You can also buy half-page or full-page ads in all of the major newspapers. Let's also throw some money at Amazon and Goodreads advertising, let's say about 40 grand. We could also have a national radio and podcast advertising campaign for about 25 grand. And lastly, let's devote 30 grand to social media advertising, specifically the ones that would be best for this book. For instance, TikTok is best for like YA books, while on Instagram, something like adult nonfiction would do much better. Which brings us up to $1 million. Just remember that no matter how much money you have, there are always good strategies to connect with readers and sell your books. And if you like this video, please subscribe and then check out some of my other videos on writing.